This is the first time in the history of the world that the communist government has been overthrown by the people. And for that, we congratulate you and the people of Guatemala for the support they have given.
Nixon praises Castillo Armas, the president of Guatemala, for overthrowing a communist regime.
In other words, the Arbenz regime was not a Guatemalan government. It was a foreign government controlled by foreigners.
Controlled by Moscow.
And that happened just here in the continent, right here in America, just here in America.
What Nixon doesn't say is that Castillo Armas was handpicked by the CIA. That his army was financed and trained by the CIA. And that Castillo Armas didn't lead a popular uprising against a communist regime, but was the head of a CIA-sponsored military coup. The man who devised the coup, the American Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, a zealous Cold Warrior. The mastermind of the coup is brother Allen Dulles, director of the CIA, a veteran of covert operations. The man who orchestrated the propaganda campaign, Agent E. Howard Hunt, who later became the notorious Watergate burglar. Their target? A man they called Red Jacobo. To the world, he is Jacobo Arbenz, the elected president of Guatemala. Arbenz makes a fatal political error. He takes land from an American company, gives it to peasants, and ignites the Cold War in Latin America. They call it El Pulpo, the octopus. The United Fruit Company. United Fruit grows bananas and sells bananas.
Bananas can be eaten at any time and served at any meal.
It is called El Pulpo because it owns vast tracts of land all across Latin America. Its tentacles stretch into every presidential palace. And in this region, presidents are military dictators. Sam Zemere, the banana man, is at the helm of United Fruit. He got his start in the banana business by personally financing the overthrow of the president of Honduras in 1924. In Guatemala, United Fruit is the largest landowner. It owns the railway lines, it owns the power lines, and it controls the country's busiest ocean port.
Guatemala was a country where the previous military rulers had practically handed the country over to the United Fruit Company. They were in their pocket.
He was a dictator from an economic point of view. United Fruit had the final word about many, many things.
In the spring of 1951, United Fruit is suddenly confronted with an ominous threat. His name, Jacobo Arbenz. He is the newly elected president of Guatemala. Arbenz is swept to power on a promise to give land to peasants, to the Mayan Indians who farm the country's plantations. Arbenz is the son of a failed Swiss pharmacist. His mother, a Guatemalan national of Spanish descent. He joins the army to get an education. Arbenz is magnetic, a born leader. He becomes one of the youngest captains to teach at the military academy. Angered by the brutality of Guatemala's military, Arbenz plots the overthrow of one of Latin America's most ruthless dictators, Jorge Ubico, the start of his country's revolution. Arbenz and his wife are sympathetic to the ideals of Marxism. They have both studied the Communist Manifesto, but Arbenz is not a party member.
Among his best friends were Jose Manuel Fortuny, and some of the other members of the then nascent Communist Party who were close to him, who had access to him.
Arbenz's first major act as president, Decree 900, a massive land reform bill. This propaganda film tells peasants if they want to have a family, they will need land. Arbenz expropriates land from coffee fincas owned by Guatemalan nationals and from the United Fruit Company, over 400,000 acres. The head of the Communist Party and author of Decree 900, Manuel Fortuny, tells Arbenz he may have acted too swiftly.
Él vio que yo no salté de alegría.
He saw that I wasn't jumping for joy.
Me dijo, parece que
And he said to me,
no te entusiasma mucho.
he said, it looks like you're not that excited about this expropriation. And I said to him, on the contrary, the expropriation had to happen,
Pero yo pensaba que
but I thought it would be done just before you left office,
cuando tú estuvieras
because now
tu gobierno.
we'll have a fight on two fronts,
Porque ahora
not only against the local landowners who have had land expropriated, but against the United Fruit Company as well.
expropiados, sino contra la United Fruit Company también.
Fortuny is proven right. Even though Arbenz expropriates only uncultivated land and pays a fair price for it, the United Fruit Company is furious. United Fruit is not only powerful in Guatemala, it has a good deal of leverage in Washington as well. Tom Corcoran is the fruit company's hired gun. On the Hill, he's Tommy the Cork, a Washington insider who can open any door. Cork tries to persuade those in power that a threat to its banana plantations is a threat to national security.
United Fruit did whatever it could to link the agrarian reform to a communist danger. And in the 1953, 1954, it had a pretty receptive audience.
Cork's audience is receptive for other reasons, too. John Foster Dulles and his brother Alan Dulles have both done legal work for United Fruit. The Assistant Secretary of State for Inter-American Affairs, John Moores Cabot, owns stock in United Fruit. His brother Thomas was president of the company in 1948. And the American ambassador to the United Nations, Henry Cabot Lodge, also has money riding on United Fruit.
They were obviously defending the interests of a private corporation that had a dispute with a foreign government. It seemed to us unseemly to have the State Department every day echo the concerns of the United Fruit Company of Boston.
The United Fruit Company also enlists Edward Bernays, the grandfather of public relations. Bernays flies some of the most influential reporters, editors, and publishers in the United States to Guatemala. On these press junkets, company officials warn journalists of creeping communism in Latin America.
They gave them the story that the Marxists were coming in and trying to kick them out of the country. And this story became the front page headlines in the American press when the newsmen returned.
With the public, the opinion makers, and the politicians on their side, the Dulles brothers begin planning the overthrow of Jacobo Arbenz. For John Foster Dulles, Arbenz's removal becomes a personal crusade.
John Foster Dulles was a religious fanatic. He believed that you had to defeat communism. It was a struggle between good and evil. He felt that this was a fight to the death. He was ready for war.